Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
With Chris Landry, I'm Dave Hooker. Chalk Talk. I remind you to stop what you're doing, click that subscribe button, click that like button so we can bring you more content about Tennessee and the SEC. Again, subscribe and like. We appreciate it. Brought to you by Owl's Nest Barbecue. Owl's Nest Barbecue is your home for the best barbecue supplies in the biz. They've got the chips, they've got the rubs, they've got the sauces, they got the wood pellets. And then right next door, they've got Steve Ray's Michelin Midnight Oil. And Steve Ray's Midnight Oil brought to you by Michelin, I guess I should say. It's easy for me to say, Chris, as that's where I take my car to get fixed. That's the way I say it. Just take it to Steve Ray's Midnight Oil, a proud Michelin distributor. A couple of guys I want to ask you about that Tennessee fans are excited about. One that they have been excited about for a long time. One that's a little bit newer with Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. Chris, let me start with JWT, Justin Williams Thomas. The guy, I guess I wondered how he would fit in. I know he's highly recruited. I know he's put together well, but the thing that really surprised me was when he was first made available to the media, it seemed like he had just completed like a job interview and that he was being evaluated about his performance. That guy had the maturity that I hope to achieve one day. And Chris, I looked at him like he has a plan. Now he didn't say this, but his plan is to light it up for Tennessee, play 3 years, go to the NFL, make cajillions of dollars. And I after watching the interview, I'm not going to be one to doubt him. I was very impressed by his maturity level.
Well, it's good to hear. I've heard good things about him on, coaches talking about him on the recruiting trail. You hear a lot of that. You don't know how to quantify it until you maybe see it yourself. So it's good that he has that maturity. I think guys are more aware today. So it's really good. He's a very productive back in the state of Georgia. As a high school player, very good. You can see the instinctiveness as a runner. He can get downhill very quickly, like his vision, like his ability to read angles of the defender. He changes direction really good. He's got good lateral agility and runs with power, runs under his pads, as we like to call them. I don't know if you will remember. A lot of people used it, but he used to use it more than anybody. Johnny Majors used to always say, "Runs with body lean." Remember, he used to say that. That's what it means. You run with lean. You want to get downhill, get under your pads of the defenders. He does those things very well. He just doesn't have. He doesn't have the workout numbers in terms of the straight line speed. Guy's got good football speed. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he develops in this offense. You've got to be very aware of when to release out of your routes and when to stay in and the proper angles and pass protection. That's not something you ask to do a lot in high school in most cases. In his case, that's where he's most raw at. But he certainly can help, this backfield become more and more productive.
Do you have an example just kind of in your head where maybe it's a up-tempo, high-flying offense, yet you do have a bit more of a power back to be that sledgehammer out of the backfield, which is the way I view him compared to other Tennessee tailbacks?
Yeah, because I think he runs with power. And here's the thing about it is, in this offense, with getting the defensive box spread out a little bit, you have space to run. And when you run and you've got some power and build up some steam, and you have some ability to juke to where they don't get a clean shot on you, this is where you can take, a 6-yard carry and it becomes 8 or 10 or 12 because you start to bounce on defenders because you build up some steam and strength. So I think it's really important. The other thing is, particularly short yardage and goal line. What do we talk about for them to be really good and take the next level is still need to be able to get tough yardage. You ideally you think, well, you want space guys. Well, they got guys. I mean, they brought one from Clemson that plays well in space, and we'll see how well those space guys do. But you better have a guy that when it's short yardage or goal line, you can spread out to a point. But remember, you're at the 10-yard line. Those defenders, they don't have far to go back. So you're going to play with more guys in the box just for the position on the field. You have to have a guy that can be his own blocker a little bit, that can get some after contact yardage. I think he has some ability to do it because he has the good enough combination with strength, with body lean, but with ability to make you miss. See, a lot of guys that are big and strong, but they can't make you miss. I mean, they just they run right in the middle of it, and they might get 2 yards. But a guy that can get has good change of direction, can force you as a defender to not get a clean shot. And if you can't get a clean shot, that 2-yard gain maybe could be 4 to 5.
I'll ask you about Squirrel White, who's already made some news. I love the nickname. But coaches, from what I've been told, love the fact that he has that quickness and that versatility, and they really, really like him. I very rarely hear about freshmen whatsoever in the first week of fall camp. Now, I know that he did summer workouts, and I'm sure they snuck a peek from time to time, even though they're not supposed to be there, to see how he was doing. But I've heard as much, let's put it this way, heard as much about Squirrel White from actual college people than I can remember hearing about a freshman this early in the process.
As you're talking about him, you can't make this stuff up. As I'm looking outside my office here,
The Squirrel?
The Squirrel. I've got one in particular. It's almost like a pet. It's just he or she's just gone up or down. It is a great nickname, and as some nicknames, you got to ask, well, how'd you get that? There is no explanation needed with this guy. This guy just looks like a squirrel. I mean, the squirrel that, he's just darting and quickly moving around. Just really, really good. It would make me think about it when you mentioned him just now, as we put Sam Mills in the Hall of Fame, this Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend. They called him the field mouse because he was so quick and that he could just get by defenders. That's what Squirrel is as a playmaker. He is so quick, such change of direction, make you miss capabilities, that he just remind you a little bit of a squirrel, just as long as you continue to go forward. Those damn squirrels on the highway tend to run across the road and run back in your place. I hate that. Don't you hate that when that happens? But
kind of throws your day off when you run over.
It really does.
Happened to me last week. I've done nothing this morning except bring death to the world, which kind of made me feel bad. But with Squirrel, I'll be interested to see how they use him. And this offense about a million times better than me. What are there versatile ways to use that type of guy and put him in different spots?
Oh man, yeah. Look, I mean, certainly wherever you line him up, I mean, catching the ball and after the catch, we know that. But I would use him on a lot of the orbit sweeps, the jet sweeps, right, in motion, and you fake to him and throw it, or you give it to him. Now, you talk about if you have to prepare for that, I would put that enough on tape every week to make that the team that you're playing. I would make them defend that. And, boy, that you talk about giving you a good read of the defense right at the snap as you work the jet sweeps with him. I think you get the ball in the hands of him. Kick return, which, my understanding is he did a great job in practice the other day, in the scrimmage the other day. Look, he's fast, but he's quicker than fast. And I think he was a 10.69, 100-meter guy. But he's quicker than fast, which is saying a lot. So, look, I know they love their receivers. I mean, they say the receivers are doing well, the young guys. I think what's interesting is we talk about this a lot. As much as they utilize receivers, it's mostly, Dave, as you know, that Josh does. He uses 3 receivers mostly. I mean, he doesn't alternate them a lot. I mean, you have injuries, spell a guy for serious, but it's basically the 3. You're going to find a way. I think I would certainly find a way to get this guy on the field. He reminds me a lot of Skylar Green, who played at LSU under Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban. And I'm not saying this is going to happen with Squirrel, but Marcarius, if by the way, for folks just thinking, I'm sure his family will love us to say Marcarius. But here's the thing that I would say to Josh, and to Alex Golish. Don't worry about how much he knows. Like I remember when doing some work when aforementioned Skylar Green, Jimbo was well, Nick, I can't put him in because he doesn't know this or that. He said he doesn't need to know. Get him 2 things that he can do, and then it just opened up the offense. Same thing with this guy. Don't worry about what he doesn't know. Don't worry about if he's not a great route runner yet. Get him on the field. He's a playmaker. Return game, jet sweeps, teach him a couple of routes, go with it, make defenses pay for having him on the field, and then he'll gradually learn another route better and become better with reading defenses. But I think this is a guy that you scheme getting the ball to a few times a game just to make the defense have to prepare for it in practice when when they line up and scout you. That's going to open up things for other guys. I think he's a dynamic playmaker potential.
Okay, Chris. So you can be honest with me if you don't like this. Okay, you just tell me.
Sure.
But I'm thinking the first time Squirrel White scores, and he got that nickname from his grandmother because squirrels were going after tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she actually called him a squirrel because he would move at the same time of the squirrels that were going after tomatoes, which tells me she was yelling at the squirrels going after tomatoes. And as a little baby, he was a bit startled by that. That is my hunch. There's no better way to build fast twitch muscles than some fear, Chris. But I kind of look at him. You talk about the jet sweep sort of thing, and I don't want to place too much on him. I hate comparing players, but I remember Percy Harvin. It felt like he ran every jet sweep that Florida ran for about the first half of the season, and then his game started to grow into other things. Is that kind of not comparing players, but the roles? Is that what you could see envisioning this fall?
Well, the offense in which obviously Percy ran was a run offense, and so I think it's a bigger challenge because what they do is and it's not that Tennessee can't do some of this, but they put Percy some in a wildcat situation at times, and then they pitched it to him. That's really not what Josh likes to do, but that's okay. I think in what I call the RPO world, man, I mean, just have this guy just running the jet sweeps. Probably the school schematically that does the best job in the jet sweep, RPO, orbit sweep, jet sweep game out of the RPO is probably named very familiar. It's what they do at Wake Forest with Dave Clawson. Now I'm talking about schematically, not the best. And they also work the tight ends very well in their offense. But to me, there's a lot of ways to get the ball in his hands, and that's the job of Alex and Josh to make it happen, because guys like this are a playmaker. It'll make everybody better.
Yep. He's Chris Landry at LandryFootball.com. Learn more at LandryFootball.com. Get your car repaired and taken complete care of right there at Steve Ray's Midnight Oil, a proud Michelin distributor. And Owl's Nest Barbecue is the home for barbecuers like me. You can go get the sauce, the rub, you can get the pellets, you can get the chips, you can get it all right there at Owl's Nest Barbecue. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.